Ever get that feeling like companies, you just like know what you want before you even realize it yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of creepy, right? Like, how do they do that?
Well, that's marketing research.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they figure it out. And today we're going to do a deep dive into how it all works.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. So we'll be unpacking the two main approaches, quantitative and qualitative research. Two sides of the same coin, really.
Yeah.
Each side reveals a different but essential aspect of consumer behavior.
So it's like we're looking at the consumer world through
Two different lenses, yeah.
two different lenses, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do we even begin with all this, it
Yeah.
seems?
Well, let's start with quantitative research.
Yeah.
That's the side that deals with, the numbers and data.
Right.
Imagine, massive surveys, questionnaires reaching thousands of people,
Wow.
crunching the numbers to uncover all those patterns and trends.
Oh, I see the appeal for companies already, like data-driven decisions and all that.
Exactly, exactly. Remember those region-specific Nike shoes you loved?
Oh, yeah, those are awesome.
That's quantitative research right there in action.
Really?
Yeah, Nike probably analyzed tons of sales data, noticing trends in weather conditions, popular shoe styles in different regions, all that.
That's crazy. I never realized how much goes into like something as simple as a shoe design.
Oh, yeah,
But it makes sense, they're catering to specific needs based on actual data.
exactly. And it's not just about what sells where, it's also about things like brand awareness.
Mm-hmm.
How aware are people of our brand, customer satisfaction over time?
Okay.
So they can really see that big picture, right?
Right.
Make strategic decisions about their products and marketing.
So it's like having a pulse on the market,
Exactly, yeah.
constantly monitoring
Constantly, yeah.
how consumers are responding.
Mm.
But if this is all about numbers, how do we get to like those deeper, more personal insights?
Well, that's where qualitative research comes in,
Uh-huh.
shifting that focus from what to why. So instead of those large-scale surveys,
Okay.
we're talking about intimate interviews, focus groups,
Oh, wow.
even observing people, in their natural environment
Oh,
to
interesting.
see how they actually interact with products.
That sounds almost like anthropology,
It is, in a way.
like observing people,
Tough,
understand their behavior.
Yeah. Let's say a company wants to launch a new line of organic baby food.
Okay. Yeah.
They might conduct in-depth interviews with parents, to uncover those concerns, motivations,
I see.
what they really value in baby food.
So instead of just assuming parents want organic, they're actually asking them
Exactly. Yeah.
what's important. That
Yeah.
seems like a much better approach.
Absolutely. It helps companies go beyond the surface level, tap into those deeper emotional connections
Uh-huh.
that drive those purchasing decisions.
Makes me think about the power of storytelling. Like qualitative research, it seems to allow for that.
It definitely does. One method within qualitative research that's gaining a lot of traction is it's called ethnographic research. So imagine researchers, they're observing how families navigate the grocery store, note which products they pick up, how they read labels, even the conversations they have with their kids.
So they're almost like silent observers, kind of
Yeah,
gathering insights from real-world behavior.
exactly, exactly.
Wow.
And this type of research can be incredibly valuable for companies like grocery stores or food brands, helping them understand how consumers navigate their stores, how they make choices, and what influences those decisions.
It really seems like qualitative research, it's all about uncovering that human side of the consumer,
Yeah,
understanding the stories and the emotions behind all the numbers.
precisely. And while it might be more time-consuming and less easily generalizable than
Ah.
quantitative research, it offers a depth of understanding that numbers alone simply can't capture.
This is all so insightful. Like, it's amazing how much work goes into understanding consumer behavior.
Yeah.
But it's making me realize that neither approach is perfect on its own, right?
You're absolutely right. The real magic happens when quantitative and qualitative research work together,
Oh, okay.
combining that breadth of data
Uh-huh.
with the depth of human understanding.
So it's not an either situation, it's about finding the right
Balance.
balance. Yeah.
Think of it like baking a cake.
Okay.
Quantitative research gives you the precise measurements for each ingredient, while qualitative research, helps you understand the flavor profiles, the textures, and ultimately what makes the cake delicious.
I love that. That's a perfect analogy. You need both for the best outcome.
Exactly.
Can you give us some real-world examples of how this dynamic duo works in practice.
Absolutely. Imagine a fast food chain like McDonald's, right?
Okay.
They're noticing a decline in sales of their salads through their quantitative data.
Okay.
To understand why, they might turn to qualitative research, conduct some focus groups.
I can see how that would be helpful. What have they discovered through the focus groups that people actually love the idea of eating healthy at McDonald's, but the salads just aren't appealing or convenient enough?
That's a fantastic insight and exactly the kind of information that qualitative research can uncover. It might lead McDonald's to revamp their salad offerings, make them more enticing and accessible.
That's fascinating.
Eh.
They wouldn't have known that just by looking at sales figures.
Exactly. And this is just one example of how combining quantitative and qualitative research can lead to those aha moments for businesses. In part 2, we'll dive into even more examples of how this powerful combination plays out in different industries. Stay tuned.
I'm ready. I'm ready for more of those aha moments.
Mhm.
What other industries benefit from this dynamic duo of research approaches?
Well, think about the automotive industry. Let's say a company is developing a new electric car,
Okay.
but their quantitative data shows hesitation among a certain demographic.
Okay, so they know there's an issue, but they need to understand why this particular group isn't jumping on board with electric vehicles.
Exactly. They might conduct in-depth interviews discovering concerns about the limited range of electric cars, anxieties about finding charging stations,
Right.
and even a perceived lack of cool factor compared to traditional gas-guzzling vehicles.
That makes so much sense. It's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about how people perceive it and how it fits into their lives and their self-image.
Precisely. And this qualitative data gives the car company a roadmap for addressing those concerns directly in their marketing. They might highlight partnerships with charging station providers, showcase celebrities embracing the electric car lifestyle, or even emphasize the car's performance and design to appeal to that desire for coolness.
That's a really great example of how qualitative research can provide that crucial context for interpreting the numbers. What about an industry that's all about trends and constantly evolving consumer perceptions like fashion?
Fashion is a fantastic example. Imagine a clothing brand notices a surge in online searches for a specific type of vintage denim jacket.
Okay.
Through their quantitative data analysis,
Huh?
they know it's trending, but they need to understand why.
So they dive deeper. How would they even approach that from a qualitative perspective?
They could immerse themselves in online fashion communities, analyze social media conversations, or even conduct in-depth interviews with fashion influencers to understand what's driving this renewed interest in a vintage style.
So it's not just about the jacket itself. It's about what it represents.
Exactly. They might discover that the resurgence is tied to a growing awareness of sustainability, a rejection of fast fashion, or even a nostalgia for a certain era.
That makes me think about how qualitative research can almost be like cultural anthropology. You're uncovering the values, beliefs, and motivations that drive trends.
You hit the nail on the head. And understanding those deeper motivations allows the brand to position their product in a way that resonates with consumers. They might emphasize the jacket's timeless appeal, its durability, or even its connection to a specific cultural moment.
This is making me realize just how much research goes into the things we buy and the trends we follow.
Yeah,
It's not just random. There's a whole science behind it.
absolutely. And speaking of trends, one area where both quantitative and qualitative research are indispensable is understanding the impact of social media and online reviews.
Oh, that's a huge one. Feels like everyone relies on online reviews these days.
They do, and companies are paying close attention quantitatively. They can track things like brand mentions the sentiment expressed online and how many people are engaging with their content.
So they see the big picture of how people are talking about them online.
Yeah.
But how do they get those nuanced insights?
Qualitative research dives deeper. They might analyze the actual content of reviews, looking for common themes and feedback, or they might engage with customers directly on social media platforms to understand their experiences and address any concerns.
It's like having a direct line to the voice of the consumer,
Right.
hearing their feedback in their own words.
Exactly. And that's invaluable in today's world where a single negative review can go viral and damage a brand's reputation.
It's all about staying connected to the pulse of consumer sentiment. We've covered so many great examples of how quantitative and qualitative research work together.
Ye have.
But is there ever a time when one approach might be more important than the other?
That's a great question. While the ideal scenario is to use both, There are situations where one might take precedence depending on the specific goals.
So when would a company lean more heavily on quantitative research?
If a company wants to understand market share for a particular product or track changes in consumer preferences over time, large-scale surveys and statistical analysis would be essential.
So it's about getting those hard numbers to paint a clear picture of the market landscape.
Yeah.
What about situations where qualitative research might be the primary focus?
If the goal is to develop a completely new product and truly understand how potential customers perceive it, in-depth interviews and focus groups would be invaluable.
It's about going deep into those motivations and understanding the why behind those perceptions.
Yeah.
Do you ever see the two approaches working together in a cyclical way?
Absolutely. You might start with qualitative research to explore ideas and generate hypotheses, and then use quantitative research to test and validate those hypotheses with data.
So it's dynamic interplay constantly refining the understanding of the consumer.
Exactly. And speaking of understanding the consumer, one thing I find fascinating is how research can be applied to understand the effectiveness of advertising.
That's a great point. I'm constantly bombarded with ads,
Yeah.
but I rarely stop to think about the research that goes into them.
It's incredible. Really, quantitative research can track things like ad recall, how many people remember seeing an ad, and brand awareness, how familiar people are with the brand after seeing an ad.
So they can measure the impact of an ad in a concrete way, but how do they know if the ad is actually resonating with people?
That's where qualitative research comes in through focus groups and interviews. Researchers can explore how people feel about an ad. Do they find it funny, memorable? Does it make them want to buy the product?
It's like getting a glimpse into the minds of consumers, understanding their gut reactions and emotional responses to an ad.
And that information is gold for advertisers, helping them create more effective and engaging campaigns.
It's amazing to think about how much research goes into something as seemingly simple as an advertisement.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes the importance of understanding the consumer on multiple levels.
And that understanding is what allows businesses to create products, services, and marketing campaigns that truly resonate with their target audience.
We've covered so much ground today, from understanding the differences between quantitative and qualitative research to exploring how they work together in various industries.
Absolutely.
Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners as we wrap up this part of our deep dive? It's like we've been handed this decoder ring,
Yeah.
for the world of marketing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so fascinating to see like how much strategy goes into understanding, well, us, the consumers.
It really is. And my final thought for our listeners today is the next time you see an advertisement or a new product launch, take a moment to consider the research that likely went into it.
Oh, I like this. It's like becoming an armchair marketing analyst.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what kind of data might this company have collected? What consumer insights might have informed their decisions? Are they appealing to logic, emotion?
So instead of just passively scrolling past ads, we can actually start to deconstruct them
Yeah.
and understand the strategy behind them.
Precisely. You might even find yourself noticing patterns and trends. Maybe you start to see how certain colors are used to evoke specific emotions, or how brands use storytelling to connect with their audience on a deeper level.
That's a great point. It's like becoming more aware of the subtle cues and messages that influence our perceptions and choices as consumers.
And that awareness can be empowering. It allows you to make more informed decisions about the products you buy, the brands you support, and the messages you choose to engage with.
I love that takeaway. It's about becoming a more conscious and discerning consumer in a world that's constantly vying for our attention.
It really is, remember, at the heart of marketing research is the desire to understand people, their needs, their desires, their motivations. And while companies use this knowledge to sell products and services, we as consumers can use this knowledge to become more aware of the forces that shape our choices.
That's a great point to end on. It's about taking back some of that power.
Yeah.
And understanding the game, so to speak.
Exactly. The more we understand about how marketing research works, the more equipped we are to navigate the complex world of consumerism.
Well said. I think we've given our listeners a lot to ponder today. We've explored the fascinating world of marketing research, uncovered the strengths and limitations of both quantitative and qualitative approaches, and seen how they work together to create a holistic view of the consumer.
And we've learned that this knowledge isn't just for marketing professionals,
Right.
it's for all of us.
Absolutely. Whether you're a business owner, a marketing enthusiast, or just someone who's curious about how the world of consumerism works, we hope this deep dive has given you valuable insights and a new perspective on the power of marketing research.
And remember, the next time you encounter a marketing message, don't just scroll past it. Take a moment to analyze it. Think about the research, the strategy, and the consumer insights that went into crafting that message. You might be surprised by what you discover.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us in this deep dive into the world of marketing research. Until next time, stay curious.